this video, I'm going to show you how to do the woven wheel stitch. The woven wheel looks like this right here, which is a great way to do roses and really filled out circles. To start, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to put in foundation stitches. You want them to be in odd numbers. I typically like to keep them in 5s. I also like to do them in green and with lazy daisy stitches so that they look a little bit fuller, and when completed, if I have some of those stitches sticking out, they look a little like leaves. So first what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with a long length of floss, and I'm working with 6-strand floss, and I'm using all 6 strands for this. When I say a long piece, for a circle that is about the size of a penny to a nickel, I'm going to use about a yard of floss. It's definitely too long and it will try to knot up on you, but just be careful as you're working. And I'd rather have too much than too little, just to make sure that I have a continuity of shape here. So we're going to start in the back, and I'm going to come up through the fabric right next to my foundational stitch. And I'm going to come up, and then I'm going to weave. I'm not going to go back through the fabric again till the very end. So I'm over this stitch, under that stitch, over, under, and so on and so forth. So over and under, pull, over and under, over and under. And I'm going to keep doing this over and over and over again until this entire wheel is filled. Now I want to make sure I'm not catching other floss as I'm going around, but over, under, over, under. Now as I'm moving, I am pulling my floss. I'm not pulling it super tight, but I am pulling it a little bit so that it starts raising up a little. If I turn this sideways, you can see that stitch right there is pretty raised up. And what happens is as I'm weaving, you can start to see how they're going to interlock on one another. And in the process of doing that, by pulling my floss just a little bit tight, it's going to start weaving in on itself. Now to finish, I'm going to jump ahead once I have this done and show you what it looks like and how to finish this. All right, I've hit the end of my stitch. I've gone around as close as I can to the edges of those initial stitches. You can see if I'm not exactly precise with my sizing, some of them will stick out a little bit more and some of them will stick out a little bit less. It's okay if they stick out a little bit. Like I said, I like to do them in green so that they look a little like leaves. So where I'm at is I have just finished going under my last stitch. Now rather than drop through the fabric randomly or kind of on the outside, I am going to put my needle in at an angle so that it pushes the thread underneath of the rows just a little bit, so that when it finishes off, it looks nice and neat and clean. And then on the back side, I'm just going to knot this off the way that I would normally finish. And I do 2 knots just to make sure that it stays in place. And there you have it, the woven wheel stitch.